If you listen carefully to what Ezenwa has analyzed and Faith has said as well, Faith emphasized the point that all stakeholders have a role to play in this process. And so when you say, why hasn't INEC done this? You have not taken heed of what has been said. It's an all-stakeholder affair. So INEC can lead in certain ways, but also stakeholders, CSO, media, everybody can push for this. Can actually push for this. I'm not too sure INEC is one should be in the forefront of asking for reform, dealing with issues not to deal directly with elections. Its mandate is to conduct elections. Crossing over is a post-election issue. So in one sense, INEC can say it doesn't really concern us. The crossing over happens after you have been elected. And I think Ezenwa is in a better position to speak about this. I'm just a humble lawyer. But I would say it's partly because of the issues of a lack of ideology in the political parties. There certainly is not much in terms, if you look at the constitution and the manifestos of most of the political parties, there isn't too much to choose. Some of the parties are breakaway from other parties, and some are mergers of converging political parties, converging into one political party. So, and then again, you have the constitution. 99 constitution only penalizes legislators who cross over. Only for legislators. It doesn't talk to the, it doesn't speak of the executive, and for whatever reason, the politicians and we have not pushed hard enough. Civil society, media, others that are not government have not pushed hard enough that maybe when you cross the political divide, then you should be, you lose your seat, or there should be a by-election or whatever else. Now, don't forget that some people say that I won because of my popularity, not necessarily because of my party. But the Constitution says you must belong to a political party and be sponsored by that political party. There are conflicting conclusions in this regard. For example, in Amechi's case, he said the votes belong to the political parties. That's why Amechi was substituted for Mejia, because in the eyes of the law, Rotimi Amechi was elected governor of the PDP in Rivers State, even though it was Celestino Mejia's name that was on that. And we've continued to follow that. So some people say, look, once you, there's no agreement as to what should happen when you cross over. So people say, if you cross over, since the votes belong to the party should be allowed to nominate somebody else to take that position, because the votes belong to the party. Others argue that no. Conduct a by-election, or you lose your seat and conduct a by-election. So there's no certainty as to what the outcome should be if you say that people should lose their positions or lose their seats if they cross over. But talking about campaign finance, and you asked me, I could wait in that. The structure, the legal regime is also a little bit faulty. First of all, there's no science to fixing the amounts that are fixed in that law. We know how much of devaluation there has been in the Naira in the last 6 months, for example, last 6 months, 1 year. So the figures put there may not actually be realistic. In many countries, these are regulated by rules made by the Electoral Commission or the Commission in charge of campaign finance. So you don't fix a certain amount in the law. And then the problem with the law is that it only deals with money spent by candidates from the date notice of election is given to the election day. It doesn't talk about money spent by political parties. So there are issues there that I think we still can and should examine the law dealing with campaign finance. But the law is one thing, enforcement is another. In a cash-based society such as ours, how do we monitor expenditure? It's a challenge. So even if you have a perfect law, you will have a challenge of monitoring it. And the apparatus for such monitoring is a bit difficult to come by, and that is why INEC, for example, is partnering with agencies such as the ICPC and the EFCC, who have better tools towards doing. But still, there is a challenge, and there are so many candidates contesting elections. Such the wherewithal to actually monitor campaign finance is still lacking in the country. These are some of the issues.